You ever felt like the whole world's trying to put you in a box you don't fit in? That was me. Name's Huck Finn. And let me tell you, I was never meant for polished shoes and polite talk. I was living with the widow Douglas and Miss Watson, two good ladies, sure, but they were dead set on civilizing me. Talking all proper, reading the Bible, wearing clothes that felt like I was being choked by Sunday itself. I couldn't stand it. Every part of me ached for the river, the woods, and a sky too big for rules. And then, just when things couldn't get more tight and miserable, Pop showed up, my old man. Mean as a rattlesnake and twice as drunk, he dragged me off to some shack deep in the woods and locked me up like a dog. He'd vanish for days, long silent stretches where I could almost pretend I didn't live in fear. But when he came back, it was fists, rage, and the stench of whiskey thick in the air. I stopped praying someone would come for me. Rescue wasn't coming. So I started planning. I waited. I watched. Every moment, every silence, every strike. I tucked it all away like kindling. Then one night, the chance came. I didn't hesitate. I dragged that pig in myself, hands shaking, heart slamming like thunder in my chest. I slit its throat. The blood came hot, dark, fast. I splattered it everywhere, across the floorboards, the walls, even my own shirt. I smashed furniture, tore the place apart, left a trail like a wild animal had torn me limb from limb. I wanted them to believe it. I needed them to believe it, that I was dead. Not missing, not hiding, dead. Dead to the man who beat me. Dead to a town that never cared. Dead to a life that tried every day to cage me. And then, I slipped out into the night, cold and silent. The moon was high. The river was waiting. By dawn, I'd reached Jackson's Island, hidden from the world. Just me, the water, the trees, and a stillness so deep it almost hurt. For the first time in my life, I could breathe. And that breath, it tasted like freedom. It was late. The kind of dark that makes your skin prickle and your ears go sharp. I was sitting by my little fire on Jackson's Island, just listening to the river whisper. Thought I was alone, until I saw it, a shadow moving through the trees, slow, careful. My blood turned cold. I held my breath. Ghost? Devil? Pap? I reached for a stick, heart pounded so loud I was sure it'd give me away. The figure crept closer, silent as smoke. Then I saw his face. Jim. It was Jim. My breath rushed out all at once. I thought I was seeing things, but there he was, real as day, eyes wide, skin slick with sweat. He looked like a man who'd been running for his life. And he had. He told me low and fast, like the trees might be listening, that Miss Watson was planning to sell him, ship him off to New Orleans, far from his wife, his babies. Said he heard it with his own ears. That was enough. He ran, and now here we were, both fugitives. Him from chains made of iron, me from ones you couldn't see, but they squeezed just the same. Two souls the world had no use for. But out here, under the hush of the trees and the watchful stars, we were free. For now. Me and Jim, we weren't just running, we were unlearning. Jim, with his soft-spoken wisdom and the kind of heart that makes you ashamed you ever doubted him, he started to change something in me. Not all at once, but slow, like the sun rising on a foggy morning. He told me stories about his wife, about his little girl, about what it meant to be sold, to be separated, to be afraid all the time but never show it. And I listened. I really listened. We shared ghost tales, talked signs and omens, laughed till the river echoed us back. And little by little, I stopped seeing Jim the way I had been taught to. I started seeing him the way the river saw him, the way the stars did. Just a man. Good, brave, whole. You ever think you're free, only to realize you're still running? That was us, me and Jim, floating down the Mississippi like ghosts, thinking the river could save us. But the shore was full of danger. Every town, every face, we saw lies dressed as law, cruelty in a smile. Then came the slave hunters. I had to think fast. He's got smallpox, I lied. They backed off. We were safe, for now. But I felt hollow inside. I'd been raised to think helping Jim was wicked, a sin. But sitting there, watching him sleep, trusting me with everything, I started wondering if the world had it backwards. We were supposed to take the Ohio River to freedom, but in the fog, we missed it. Now we were drifting deeper into the south. No plan, no way back. Just a raft, a runaway, and a boy starting to question everything he thought was right. Just when me and Jim thought things couldn't get worse, they showed up. Two scoundrels full of hot air. One called himself a duke, the other claimed he was the king of France. Yeah, right. They talked fancy, but they were rotten to the core. They hijacked our raft like it was theirs, dragging us from town to town, scamming folks with fake plays and preacher acts. But the worst? They pretended to be kin to a dead man, just to steal gold from his grieving nieces. Watching them lie, watching folks cry while they laughed, it made my stomach turn. That's when something in me started shifting. I didn't care what society said. I knew it was wrong, so I stepped in, quiet-like, dangerous-like, tried to fix what I could, but then they did the unthinkable. For $40, they sold Jim, my friend, my only real family. Just like that, gone, shackled again. And that's when I knew no one was going to save Jim. It had to be me. Jim was locked up at the Phelps farm, and me? I was sitting there, staring at a letter I'd just written to Miss Watson, telling her where to find him. My hand was shaking, my gut was twisting, because if I sent that letter, Jim would be taken back. But if I didn't, well, I'd been told my whole life that helping a runaway slave was a sin that'd land me straight in hell. But then I started thinking. Jim, he'd been nothing but good to me. Kind, loyal, he called me his best friend. And in that moment, I stopped caring what the world thought. I looked at that letter and I said, all right then, I'll go to hell. And I tore it to pieces. That's when Tom Sawyer comes crashing back into my life, grinning, wild-eyed, saying, we're busting him out. And before I can even breathe, Tom's spinning this wild plan. Ropes from the rafters, secret notes, a tunnel dug with forks, like we were trying to break into a castle, not just sneak a man out of a shed. It was madness. Every creak of the floorboards felt like thunder. Every second I thought we'd be caught, but we kept going. Inch by inch, breath by breath, then bang! A shot splits the night. Tom drops. Blood soaks through his pants. He's been hit. I thought he was dead. My heart was slamming in my chest, but we couldn't stop. We got Jim out. We ran into the dark, carrying Tom, the stars barely lighting the way. And for once, it wasn't about adventure. It was about doing what was right, even if it nearly killed us. And after all the running, the lies, the near deaths, the truth just falls into our laps, quiet and cruel. Tom knew the whole time. He knew Miss Watson had died 2 months ago, and in her will, she'd set Jim free. We didn't have to fight, didn't have to bleed or hide or run through shadows. But we did. And Jim, the one who'd been chained and hunted, he still stayed. He risked everything to save Tom's life. He didn't owe us a thing. But he gave us everything anyway. Tom's gonna heal. Jim's finally, rightfully free. And me? Aunt Sally wants to adopt me. Give me clothes and schooling and rules. Try to civilize me again. But I can't. I can't go back to being someone I'm not. I've seen too much truth floating on that river. I've learned that the heart knows more than any rule book, and sometimes doing what's right means standing against everything you've been taught. So I'm packing up, and I'm lighting out for the territory, ahead of the rest, into the wild unknown, because I ain't made for cages. I'm made for skies and stars and stories that ain't been written yet. Because here's what I've come to know. Freedom ain't just not being chained. It's knowing who you are and choosing to be better, even when the world tells you not to. This is my story.